Everything seemed to go in slow motion, but in hyper speed, if that makes sense.
And then I looked up and saw my main parachute and was like, oh shit, here we go. This actually happened. Like, there's no way I just witnessed this.
Talk to me. I'm not getting anything.
How's it going? I'm Austin Blair. I'm the guy who survived.
Talk to me, Austin. 27. 27? 27? 28?
My name's Ian Blair, and today I'm going to tell you the story how I almost lost my brother in a skydiving accident. I'm actually the only one that has seen both of my brother's traumatic accidents. When I was 5, we were out in the driveway before school. My brother rides his bike down the driveway, doesn't look before crossing the street, and then ends up getting T-boned by like an F-150, F-250, ended up doing multiple flips in the air. And that was the first time I almost lost my brother, when he had to get airlifted to the hospital. It was one of those moments where you're just so thankful that he's still around. And you're like, I'll never say anything bad to him ever again. And this is, when you're little kids, and sure enough, that ends up going out the window. But, I ended up living through that nightmare again as an adult.
Well, it wasn't just skydiving. Over at Fiji, Austin doing rock climbing, all kinds of things like that. And my friends would ask me, how do I stand it? How do I, get by it? And honestly, it never really bothered me. Oh, they would, race, in cars and things. That's who they are, and everything would be okay. And, they'd go skydiving every weekend together, and I was used to it.
Austin, he's a more outdoorsman, likes the ruggedness of the outdoors, hunting, fishing, camping, doing extreme sports, snowboarding in extreme climates, things like that.
Extreme sports have always fascinated my brother and I ever since we've been a little kid, and skydiving certainly takes the cake on that. I had been jumping fairly regularly, going to the drop zone. My brother had been gone for several months and comes home, and first thing I wanted to do is go to the drop zone.
So Austin told me he was going skydiving with his brother. He and I were actually playing phone tag a lot that day because I was really busy with a lot of things, and then he was obviously skydiving, so we weren't able to talk much, and we just kept playing phone tag, really. Just
like any other day skydiving, I think we had done 2 or 3 skydives prior to the actual accident. And, you jump out of the plane. Flying around, having a blast, pull your parachute. Turn around and I see my brother having a malfunction. He's starting to spin down to the ground, and plenty of cutaways in my skydiving career, so it wasn't anything to be too concerned about at the time. And then as he starts to spin down lower, and it's like, all right, well, when are you gonna cut away? Like, when's the reserve gonna come out? And then the spin just starts to get more and more violent. And at that point I was like, uh-oh. This is really, really bad. I wonder how, this is gonna go. And then see him get lower and spinning faster. And then you start to get to the point where you realize, all right, well, if this keeps going like this, I'm about to just watch my brother die. Like, there's just no way you survive. It was a normal day of skydiving. It was our 3rd jump of the day, and we had a good first 2 jumps, and then the 3rd jump went normal as planned, and then when I deployed my parachute, all hell broke loose.
Oh, shit!
Basically, one of my lines on my main parachute snagged around in my container, tried to cut away. I cut it away from the 3-ring system, and then that one line snagged in my container, and then I was stuck with it. So then I knew I was stuck on something, and then I grabbed my hook knife. and then just went on a wild ride. Pulled a lot of G's, lots of spins, and yeah, my reserve finally opened up at 580 feet and hit the ground at 50.8 miles an hour.
I had seen jumpers burn in the past, but always at a distance. Where he hit was probably 75 feet from the front door of my RV there at Skydive, Arizona, and how fast it was.
Is he okay? Is he alive? Oh, he's alive. Just stay with me. Stay with me. Get fire out here.
It was just so incredibly fast from the moment that I saw it to impact, and the realization of what Sam Hill just happened. It felt as though as soon as he hit, within 2 or 3 seconds, I was on top of him.
No, he's alive. Just stay with me. Stay with me. Get fire out here. I've got a pulse. Don't loosen anything.
When you're skydiving, you have what's called an automatic activation device, an AAD, and that'll automatically fire your reserve, and it should inflate. So I saw him get below 1,000 feet, no reserve out. And then I was like, okay, well, that's about it. Like, I'm gonna watch my brother die here. And then about 500 feet before he hits the ground, you see his reserve start to partially inflate. And you can see him slow down a little bit. It still wasn't good, but I you see him hit the ground, you see the dust go out like that. And at that point, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe what I just witnessed. It's one of those things that's like quite literally a real life nightmare. You're just like, did this actually happen? Like, there's no way I just witnessed this. I mean, it's one thing to witness it happen to, potentially a stranger. It's completely another thing to happen to your brother. That was a pretty normal skydive, and as soon as I deployed my parachute, it exploded. And I was like, all right, this is my first cutaway, no big deal. Cutaway, and then went to my reserve, and the spinning kind of slowed down, and then I looked up and saw my main parachute and was like, oh shit, here we go.
The first thing that went through my mind was an automobile accident, but then he went on, to explain more, and my husband was upstairs, and I went up and told him after what Ian had relayed to me, and I was just in shock and shaking.
Yeah, I had actually texted Austin that morning of the 14th. I was on my way to Hawaii for a couple weeks and working my way back, and we had these great plans to possibly jump. I had actually jumped with Ian before, got that phone call, and it was wild, because in the last 15 years, Austin and I have done so much, hunting, fishing together. He's my buddy, and to hear that, possibly, he was that close to death was frightening for sure.
Two thoughts during my descent to the ground. It was, I'm sorry, Mom, and it was like, damn, I'm the person to get bit.
When I first got to him, he was draped by the canopy, and I, just because of the speed and the force to which he hit, I wasn't expecting to find any life.
The main priority was to get him in a helicopter and at the hospital as fast as possible. You have the golden hour in trauma, and I was very aware of that, and I made sure that we did everything we could to get him there. Unfortunately, at the drop zone, that's where they actually stationed the medevac helicopters, and it was there, so we only had to transport him, quarter mile down the property to get him in these helicopters.
Yeah, you good, Austin? What's up, Captain? We got one. Where are we going? What hospital? The second one for helicopter.
And I can't stress enough like how amazing it was that it was there, because when we had come back, later after the accident, we showed up and the helicopter was there, and then by the time we left, the helicopter was gone. It was on someone else's assignment.
I don't remember the conversation totally. All I remember was that Ian had Austin had an accident, and he was in the hospital, and he had to get life flighted. Booked a flight and flew to Arizona from California to the hospital, and we were there within hours.
Austin had so many people praying for him. He had thousands of people praying for him. The whole church was praying for him. And I was just having faith that everything was going to be okay.
We saw him hooked up to, life support and all of the tubes and the various doctors and nurses, tending to him. It was very difficult, but we had faith that he was gonna turn out okay.
It's just one of those, moments where, family is more important than anything. And we just got there and sat in the hospital for hours. And then, we're just in the waiting room and you could see, his patient number up on the board to see, he's in surgery. Like, is he gonna make it? Is he not gonna make it? Like, we just are completely in the dark.
I held up really well until about his third surgery. And we didn't know if he had internal damage. He had already had the open heart surgery, which that went well. And when they came out and told us that he was okay, that there was no damage, that's for some reason when I lost it and I broke down and just cried and cried and cried. Up until then, I don't know, I'd been pretty even, but it was, when I knew that everything was okay, that I kind of broke down.
So Austin had to undergo several surgeries before he was able to come out of his coma. I was there for 5 days before Austin actually woke up. So every day I would just sit there with him in the hospital, and then Austin was able to wake up like 5 days later. They brought him out of the medically induced coma after many surgeries.
All right, boys, we did it. We survived.
Yeah.
We got it, baby. Ain't nothing but a skydiving scratch. Just bring me down. I can love you guys. Oh yeah. Love you guys.
I don't remember anything outside of waking up in the hospital on Thursday, 5 days later. So happened on Saturday, woke up on Thursday. And when I woke up, I didn't really know where I was and opened my eyes and, I see the hospital drapes around me. I'm like, okay, something bad has happened. I'm not really sure what has happened. And then my brother was there and I had asked him what happened. He's like, you're in a skydiving accident. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. What happened? And kind of walked me through what happened, and it's like, holy shit, that's crazy. Like, what'd they do to me? Because I was, laid up in a hospital bed, could barely move. And he's like, you got open heart surgery, you broke your hip, broke a bunch of bones. And I was like, no way. And he's like, yeah, your chest is like all stapled up. I was like, what? And he was like, take a photo. Lifted my shirt and, I saw the photo. I was like, that's crazy.
God had his hand on that boy the entire time, because if you do the math, there's a whole lot of reasons why the outcome wouldn't have been as good as it is.
Austin should not be alive. How hard he hit. If the care flight hadn't have been 250 meters, 300 meters away from where he impacted, had the paramedics not gotten there and gotten him stabilized and put on that bird with the blades spinning, I didn't think he'd make it.
During the whole recovery, or waking up, and after getting out of the ICU, get a lot of time to yourself and a lot of thinking. I didn't sleep much in the ICU for days on end. I was in tons and tons of pain. But life's precious. The friends and family that you have is, that's the value of life is friends, family, cool experiences and stuff like that. But all the worldly things, really do just disappear at those, at that crazy, life or death moment. Breaking 3 bones in my foot, my pelvis 3 times, my sternum in half, which punctured my heart. Breaking your shoulder blade in 2 places, your jaw in half, your right eye socket. You tear your carotid artery, lacerate your adrenal gland. And get 6.5 liters of blood transfusion on the table. 95 staples, 4 stitches, 5 wires in my chest, and 2 plates and 11 screws in my jaw. To live and tell the story is quite awesome. So in moments like this, you certainly come to realize how important your friends and family are and your entire support network. Had my brother not had great friends, great family, and he was kind of left alone, like this whole recovery process would have been like next to impossible. So he had a whole team of people around him to help take care of him, help him recover and get on with life, and also, help cover his bills or, just making sure that he has to focus on recovering rather than having to work the entire time.
Thanks to everyone that supported me through it. Those long, dark days in the hospital, texting everybody, getting all the love from everybody, all the visits in the hospital. It's, that's what really, kept me going and pushing through.
I don't know, we just carry on. We were grateful every day for life, every day. Not that we weren't before, but, it just goes to show us how it can be snatched away so quickly.
I did not think he would live, and the fact that he's alive now, pursuing and chasing life, is nothing short of a miracle.